HOTONE have lent me an Ampero to play with in anticipation of the release of the Ampero 2. So obviously, first thing I want to do as soon as I take it out of the box is update the firmware. Thing is, depending on the firmware version that it has, updating it might be a bit of a multi-step process. The latest firmware for the Ampero at the date of filming this is v3.8 SP1, which stands for Service Pack 1, and that is an incremental update that needs to be installed on top of v3.8. But to get there, you also have to use the correct Ampero editor for the update. So I'm going to show you the process using the one that they've lent me, which is a straight out of the box Ampero running firmware v3.7. So to find out what firmware version your Ampero is running, you go to the screen, you tap Global, About, and you can read it down here on the screen. If I try to use the latest editor, which at this time is also version 1.3.0, as you can see, this is what I get on screen when I connect the Ampero to the computer and turn it on. Initially, no device connected, obviously, and then it says, yeah, I have a connected device, but I don't know what to do with it. It's still kind enough to warn me that there is a new firmware update available, and it's asking me if I want to download it. But that's the thing, that's the only thing it does is take me to the website where I can download the new firmware. So this editor version is not going to install it for me, it's not going to connect to my Ampero, it's not going to do anything. So I'm going to have to uninstall this one and go check on the website which version is applicable to mine. So as it happens, to update this device you do need to do some legwork. So you will need to check on the website, download the appropriate editor for the firmware version that you have right now, install it, then update to the next firmware up from that editor, and then rinse repeat until you get to the latest version. So in my case, I need to look for the editor version that will work with firmware 3.7. Then use that one to update to 3.8 and hopefully SP1. Word of caution here, if you have any user patches that you want to keep, please export them now and import them with each successive version of the editor until you get to the new one, because otherwise you'll lose all of them. So once you get the editor and the firmware numbers matched up, then the process becomes simple. In my case, I've already installed the correct editor version for the firmware that I have installed, which in my case is 1.2.8. And from here on, the process is simple. You just launch the editor, click the cog icon, and then tap or click firmware update. And it will show you the secret handshake that you need in order to start the Ampero in update mode and bootloader mode. So you need to press simultaneously foot switch 3, foot switch control, the menu value button knob, and then start the Ampero. And you're greeted with this screen. At this point, you relaunch the editor and feed it the bin file that's inside the zip file that you've just downloaded. Not the zip, open it, there's a bin file in there. So you feed it the update file and it starts loading the file onto the Ampero. This process will take a while. In my computer it takes around 5 minutes, but I'm just going to speed it up because otherwise you'll just shout at me for making long videos just for the ad money, so yeah, no. So after speeding up, the screen is going to flash at you really quickly. Wow. And your Ampero will turn itself off without any further warning, even though the rocker switch is still on. You get nothing else. It will leave you thinking that you have just created yourself a really expensive paperweight. What was that screen? Well, I'm going to rewind this a bit. And as you can see, that screen basically tells you that you just need to power cycle your Ampero. So turn it off, turn it on again, and you're done with the update. As you can see from my screen, we are now on version 3.8, and as expected, my editor no longer works. So I'm gonna have to uninstall this version of the editor and install the latest version of the editor, the one that I had started with initially. And I'm going to, again, speed this up, and I'm going to follow the same procedure for the SP1 update. So I'm going to restart my Ampero in update mode with the secret handshake, and I'm going to feed the editor the bin file, this time for v3.8 SP1. So this is how you update your Ampero. It's a relatively simple process from the moment that your numbers match up between your editor and your firmware. So I'm going to be coughing up some more Ampero content in the near future, including media control, expression pedals, etc. So if you found this video useful, click that thumbie looking thing down there. And if you want to be notified of new content coming up, click the subscribe thingy too and the bell, which will probably do nothing because you've already turned off the notifications because they're a pain in the ass. But I also want to thank everybody who's bought me a coffee so far. And if you want to join the list and help the channel, links are down below. If you don't have an Ampero yet and you want to get it from Tommen, my affiliate links are also in the description. It's the same price to you, and I get a small commission that will help to keep the channel running. So until the next video, bye!